Once upon a time in the smartphone world, there was one name that ruled them all: BlackBerry. It was the go-to device for CEOs, politicians, and anyone serious about their career. The moment you spotted someone clutching a BlackBerry, you could almost feel their importance. Why? Because this wasn't just a phone, it was a symbol of professionalism and prestige. BlackBerry wasn't simply a tool, it was a statement.
Here's the BlackBerry Classic.
The company's iconic physical keyboard stood out in a sea of flip phones and clunky PDAs. The tactile satisfaction of typing on a BlackBerry keyboard was unparalleled. Add to that its exceptional security features, and you had a device trusted by the world's most powerful individuals.
BlackBerry is known for is not getting hacked and having security and privacy, something that is near and dear to our DNA.
It was a favorite among executives sending sensitive emails and politicians discussing classified matters. BlackBerry had the confidence of its users, and the company believed it was invincible. It wasn't just about hardware though. BlackBerry's services were tailored to the corporate elite, offering BlackBerry Messenger, BBM, long before instant messaging became mainstream. This sleek combination of security, functionality, and convenience made BlackBerry the undisputed king of smartphones. To those in the know, it wasn't just a phone, it was an indispensable part of life, but no kingdom lasts forever. BlackBerry's throne was soon shaken to its core when a new contender emerged: the iPhone. At first, BlackBerry laughed it off, convinced of its own superiority. What could a fragile glass device with no keyboard possibly offer? As it turns out, everything.
And having it really meant something about who you were as a person. It was a status symbol. And that's where we got that name CrackBerry. People were almost addicted to it and addicted to that feeling of always being connected.
Before we dive into the story of how BlackBerry rose and fell, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these in-depth stories about tech history. To understand BlackBerry's dominance, you have to look at what made it so special. First and foremost was the physical keyboard. In an era of tiny numeric keypads and styluses, BlackBerry delivered a game-changing experience. Its full QWERTY keyboard was easy to use, satisfying to touch, and perfect for the heavy email and messaging needs of professionals. It didn't matter if you were firing off a quick text or composing a lengthy business email. BlackBerry's keyboard made it feel like you were typing on a mini computer. Then there was its security. This was not just a phone for casual users. This was a fortress in your pocket. BlackBerry used advanced encryption to ensure that emails and messages sent through its servers were secure. It became the favorite device of governments, companies, and anyone dealing with sensitive data. The US government, for example, was a major BlackBerry client, and high-ranking officials were known for relying on their CrackBerrys. The BlackBerry Messenger, or BBM, was another standout feature. In the days before WhatsApp and iMessage, BBM offered instant, reliable communication that felt like magic. You could see when your message was delivered and read, a game changer at the time. Not only was it fast, but it was also secure, further cementing BlackBerry's appeal to professionals. These features weren't just practical, they defined BlackBerry's identity. The brand became synonymous with productivity and seriousness. If you were carrying a BlackBerry, you weren't playing around. You were working, making deals, or closing important business. It wasn't just a smartphone, it was a badge of honor. BlackBerry's dominance wasn't just about individual users. The company also catered to corporate IT departments, offering tools to manage fleets of devices securely. Companies loved BlackBerry for its ability to integrate seamlessly into existing systems, offering unparalleled control and peace of mind. For years, this strategy worked perfectly. BlackBerry became a cultural icon, featured prominently in movies and TV shows as the must-have accessory for the rich and powerful. It was a device that didn't just fit into the professional world, it defined it. Everything changed in January 2007. Steve Jobs took the stage and unveiled the iPhone, a sleek, futuristic device that looked nothing like the smartphones of the time. It was all screen with no physical buttons or keyboard. Instead, it had a touchscreen, something many dismissed as impractical for serious use. BlackBerry's executives were among the skeptics. Behind closed doors, they reportedly mocked the iPhone. They saw it as a flashy gadget, not a tool for professionals. "Who's going to type on glass?" they asked, laughing at the idea that anyone would trade BlackBerry's iconic keyboard for a touchscreen. To them, the iPhone seemed more like a toy than a threat. The confidence of BlackBerry's leadership wasn't entirely unfounded. At the time, the smartphone market was focused on business users, and BlackBerry had that audience locked down. The iPhone, with its shiny display and emphasis on entertainment, seemed to cater to a different crowd altogether. But what BlackBerry failed to see was that the iPhone was more than just a device. It was the beginning of a new era. Steve Jobs wasn't selling a phone. He was selling a new way of thinking about mobile technology. The iPhone wasn't just for calling or emailing, it was a pocket-sized computer that could do almost anything. Apps, multimedia, and seamless internet access were its key selling points, and while BlackBerry executives sneered at these features, users were intrigued. The iPhone didn't just compete with BlackBerry, it rewrote the rulebook. For years, users had accepted that smartphones were primarily tools for work. The iPhone flipped that narrative, showing that a phone could be both fun and functional. The App Store, introduced in 2008, was a game changer. Suddenly, users could download apps to customize their phones in ways that had never been possible before. From games and social media to productivity tools and fitness trackers, the App Store turned the iPhone into a device that could do it all. BlackBerry's BBM was great for messaging, but the iPhone offered endless possibilities. As people began to adopt the iPhone, expectations shifted. A smartphone was no longer just a work tool, it was an all-in-one device for communication, entertainment, and productivity. BlackBerry had built its empire on the idea that professionals wanted something reliable and secure. But the iPhone proved that users wanted more than that. They wanted a phone that could fit seamlessly into every part of their lives. BlackBerry found itself at a crossroads. Unfortunately, it chose the wrong path. Instead of embracing the new direction set by Apple, BlackBerry doubled down on what had worked in the past. The company clung to its physical keyboards and professional branding, believing that there would always be a market for its devices. BlackBerry did eventually try to innovate, but its efforts came too late. The company released touchscreen devices like the BlackBerry Storm, but these were half-hearted attempts that failed to match the iPhone's sleek design and intuitive software. BlackBerry also struggled with app development, as developers flocked to Apple's App Store and later Google's Play Store. Without a robust app ecosystem, BlackBerry couldn't compete in a market increasingly defined by software rather than hardware. Another misstep was the company's refusal to prioritize consumer users. While the iPhone appealed to everyone, BlackBerry remained focused on corporate clients. This narrow focus limited its audience at a time when smartphones were becoming mainstream. BlackBerry's reliance on its established identity left it unable to foresee the shifting desires of the average user. As touchscreens and seamless user experiences gained traction, the company struggled to shed its image as outdated and rigid. This resistance to change only deepened the gap between BlackBerry and its competitors. By the time BlackBerry realized the need for a major shift, it was too late. The company released the BlackBerry 10 operating system in 2013, hoping to regain relevance. But the market had already moved on. iPhones and Android devices dominated, and BlackBerry's once loyal customers had switched to other platforms. BlackBerry's fall was swift and brutal. In 2008, the company had a 20% share of the global smartphone market. By 2016, that number had fallen to less than 1%. Once a symbol of success, BlackBerry had become a relic of the past. Its decline served as a stark warning to other tech giants. Innovation couldn't be ignored, and adapting to shifting consumer demands was crucial. BlackBerry's missteps highlighted how quickly dominance in the tech world could evaporate in the face of rapid change. In the end, BlackBerry wasn't defeated by technology, it was defeated by arrogance. The company's leadership underestimated the iPhone, dismissing it as a gimmick rather than a revolution. They clung to outdated ideas about what users wanted, even as the world around them changed. BlackBerry's story is a cautionary tale for any company that believes its dominance is guaranteed. Success breeds complacency, and complacency breeds failure. BlackBerry didn't lose because it lacked the resources or talent to compete. It lost because it refused to adapt.